Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Lady Sows. I'm up at the allotment today. I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope you all had a lovely Christmas break. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then hope you enjoyed the holiday time to spend time with friends and family. Today I've got 2 or 3 jobs to do, but the one I really want to get on with today is finishing off my winter pruning. So I still need to prune my raspberries, so I'll just get you sorted so that you can see what I'm doing. That's my raspberry bed. Let's find the secateurs and my gloves. See some other bits I need to get. So these are autumn raspberries. They've got quite a history. The original plants were my mum's. She used to keep them in pots on her patio, and when she died I brought them home and we put them in a little tiny bed that we had in the garden. From there, when I eventually got the allotment, they came up here, but they sort of started to spread everywhere. I got really fed up with them. So I dug them up, or at least I thought I'd dug them up, and given them to one of my plot holder neighbours. And then a few, because raspberries are terrible for runners, a few survived. So last autumn I dug them up because the bed that where they were, it was just so full of couch grass. It was just awful. So I dug them all up and put them in pots and took them home. And after washing all the roots to make sure I'd got rid of all the couch grass, took them home. And then last spring I made this raspberry bed and planted them. They weren't very tall this year, and I think that's because they really didn't go until, I don't know, January, February, something like that. And so I'm hoping next year they will actually be a lot bigger. The thing with autumn raspberries is you cut them down during the winter, they will produce new shoots, and that will be the fruit for in the autumn. Summer raspberries, summer fruiting raspberries, you should have done those ages ago. Cut down the old wood. You'd have had new wood that would have come up during the year. That really needs tying in because they can grow quite tall and get knocked about by the winter storms, and then they fruit on the previous year's wood. So I'm going to get started with these. I've got a bucket somewhere to put it on. I've noticed I've got some grass coming up, so I'm going to be digging that out as I go along, and I will sort these edges out as well, because the whole idea is to try and keep on top of the couch grass here in this bed, so that if you keep, couch grass is terrible stuff, but if you keep working at it, it does eventually die off. So without further ado, with my kneeler, I have to do everything on my knees, and you just cut it right down to the ground. I mean, it's as simple as that. I bought some more wood chip, but I don't think I'm going to need it because it looks like I've actually got quite a good layer on here. But I mean, the fact of the matter is I can always use it for something else. Some more grass here. I need to find my weed bucket. I'm going to cut the edges as well with I've got an edging tool with me. Let me just chop that over there. Yeah, this is couch grass that's sort of encroached a bit from. I'm going to do the edges of this bed a bit better. I was having a thought over the Christmas period as to how I can improve it. Let me get my bucket. So it's just a case of just cutting it all the way down to the ground, and that's it. I shall come back when I've done it all. Well, I've sorted that all out. I'll let you have a look. Let me just turn around, it's easier. I can see what I'm doing. So that's it all. It doesn't really need any more bark chippings on it. Raspberries are a semi-woodland plant, so they can actually quite happily cope with bark on there. But that blue plastic edging that I used, as you can see, is broken up and it's useless, and so I'm going to have a rethink about what I can do better later on in the year. But I've got other jobs to do at the moment. So let me just take you down here. So my next job is garlic. So how do this is my garlic bed. I've noticed that my elephant garlic is just starting to poke its head through the soil. Look here, and there's another one there. It needs a bit of a weed, but the other garlic hasn't come up yet. But I did grow some garlic. I planted some more garlic just from some I had in the house, which was actually stuff that I'd grown myself anyway. So I just didn't feel I had enough. Anyway, although they haven't sprouted, they have rooted and they've got some good roots on. So I'm going to pop those in the ground. They've been sitting in the greenhouse, sulking away. So I've got that job to do. So I'm going to do that next, and give this bed a bit of a weed, because it is rather weedy. And then the other thing that I brought up at long last is the broad beans. So I've got some more broad beans to go in here, because I sowed some more of those. Although I'm sure I sowed more than I've actually got in there. So whether anything's hoiked them out or eaten them, but I've brought up some more broad beans, and I've just had a look in here. I don't know if you can see it. I've got another cauliflower. I'll lift the netting off that in a bit and I'll show you. Right, so I've done this weeding. In fact, when I was down at the bottom end and getting up close and personal with the weeds, I discovered that I have got some little garlics coming through. So I'm just going to plant these ones now that as I say, I sort of sowed. So I tend to plant garlic 6 inches apart, with rows about 8 inches apart, so about there. I've got this lovely ruler thing that my daughter bought me when I first got my allotment. So let's make sure that's straight. So I haven't got that many to plant. This bed will have carrots in it in due course. Now I plant them, when I plant them in the autumn, I plant them 2 to 3 inches deep, and I then cover them with manure. But because these are a bit later, I'm just going to, I'm not going to plant them quite so deep. But they've all got some roots on them, so hopefully they won't take too long. Where am I? Won't take too long to come up. I just felt I probably didn't have enough garlic. I probably did have enough garlic really, but I can give some to my son-in-law. He uses a lot of garlic like me in cooking. That's not very deep at all. Sometimes garlic will push themselves out. There's quite a lot of worms in this soil, which is nice. But I just found that having sown them at all sorts of different depths, that was the depth that I found I get the best garlic bulbs from. So and then, as I say, in the spring, or when the weather warms up, it's carrot sowing time. Oh, this one's actually starting to sprout. I shall actually sow carrots in between the rows of garlic. Theory being, partly, well, it means that I can use the beds for more than one crop, because the carrots won't be coming out until, the garlic will come out long before the carrots are ready. But there's supposed to be this thing, if you plant carrots next to onions or garlic, it helps deter carrot root fly. But by the same token, the allium onion fly, is put off by the smell of carrots. I'm not sure that actually works, but anything is worth a try with all the pests that we've got at the moment. I've got another 4. So I only did one more bulb of my garlics from the kitchen. So and there's manure on this soil. Well, there's spent mushroom compost, which is really just horse manure and straw anyway. So we eat a fair amount of carrots, we eat a lot of garlic. I use a lot of garlic in cooking. If it calls for 1 clove, I 9 times out of 10 use 3. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know some people can't stand garlic in their food. This one got a root on it. Yep, all got roots on, so I'm chuffed about that. Alright, this is the last one. Let's just cover them over. I think that was just before I put that there. I've got a label. Oh, is that a robin? Oh, that's nice. So I'll put that label in there just to tell me that's where they're up to. Mr. Robin, there's a worm. I'm not sure Mr. Worm would be too happy about that, but there you go. Oh. And the cold weather will help the bulbs split. Right. Now for the next job. Right, I'm going to plant these broad beans. I'm not sure, where's my trowel? I'm not sure how, well, let me go and find, oh there it is. I did, oh, I've got my kneeler now. Flipping head. Right, now let's get started. So I sowed these broad beans because I didn't feel I had enough. I don't grow that many, and it would be amazing how many broad beans I'll get off these plants. I usually try and grow about 40 broad beans. My concern about these is that although they are they've been outside, they're all a bit tall for this cold weather that we're having. So anyway, I'm going to plant them. They've got 2 chances, haven't they, really? Some of them you can see they've been caught, but hopefully they'll perk up. They've got good root system on them. I tend to plant these about 9 inches apart each way. Get my little ruler out, because they'll put up about 5 branches when they get going in the spring. I might actually put some fleece over them, not because they're not winter hardy, because they're very winter hardy, but because we are forecast some very, very cold weather, and it just really gives them a bit of a fighting chance because they are so tall. I sow them later and later every year, but I still seem to have this problem that they seem to be so big. So see, some of these are really quite big. I mean, I think this one here, I think I'm just going to take the top off this, because that isn't going to survive the winter. As I say, they seem to have been caught by the frost a bit. There's no point ever sowing anything direct here in terms of things like broad beans or peas, because you just think they haven't germinated. That's not actually true. What's happened is the mice have eaten them. So I always, I'm going to try and bury this one a bit deeper. I always sow just about everything in plug plants, in plugs at home. The only thing I don't is carrots and parsnips, because they don't transplant, but most other plants transplant quite well. Let's go over there. I'll do those ones in a minute. Over the other side. Flipping weeds that continue to grow irrespective of how flipping cold it is. I suppose if you've got things like garlic growing, I suppose weeds are bound to, aren't they, really? But you'd like to think that some of them would just give it a rest over the winter. I had brassicas in this bed last year, but I'm growing I think I'm going to grow beans or peas, probably peas in this bed, which I'll do up the other end later on in the year. I have got a spreadsheet and I have worked it all out, what I'm going where. Well, I say that, I start off like that. I start off by deciding what is going to go where, and things just get ending up being poked in wherever there's space. In the end, I'm going to grow summer onions in that bed over there, because that's not had any onions in it for 2 or 3 years. So they will be the ones I will, where a lot of people are sowing now, which I don't do. I don't sow mine till February. I find light levels, and by the time they've come up, I just find sometimes if you sow too soon, too early, you're trying to find ways of keeping them alive over the winter. And I just find that if I leave it, I think I'll take the top out of that until later on in the year. As I say, then into February is when I do start the bulk of my sowing. Then they stand a much better chance, and they catch up. I mean, you know, I know people, as I say, I know traditionally it's to sow onions on Boxing Day or what have you. I'm still sitting there with my glass of wine on Boxing Day. So how many have I got to go in there? 1, 2, 3. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've always, in a way, used the winter as a time to have a bit of a rest from sowing and planting, and you know, everybody's different. I just quite like, and we usually go away on holiday in the winter months anyway, because it's the least busy time of the year, and then I'm all ready and all excited about getting started again in February onwards. We don't go away much in the summer on holiday, although my husband would like to. I just tell him I'm too busy. But I don't like the British winter. I find it dull and miserable. So I quite like going away. The year before. Yeah, last Christmas, we went to New Zealand, and we were away for 2 months. Mainly because my son lives out there, but we did Australia and Singapore as well, which was just wonderful. We went on the beginning of December, came back at the end of January, missed all the lousy weather, absolutely perfect. Almost entire, just 2 weeks, and then I was able to start sowing again. The garden looked after itself. I didn't grow as much sort of stuff. I didn't grow vegetables too much for Christmas or anything like that, because I wasn't going to be using them. Although things like sprouts and parsnips, swede, those winter vegetables, which I love, we eat a lot of those in the winter anyway, so I do always grow them, whether I'm going to be around or not, because we do eat a lot of those sorts of vegetables. Anyway, I like stews in the winter, and that's what, to my mind, is what all those winter root vegetables are for. In fact, I made some parsnip soup today. Is that one in there? No, that's a weed. Yeah, if it was anything other than a weed, it would have come out a lot easier. So these they've got a good root system on. We'll see, they've got 2 chances to come up, haven't they? To survive the winter. One more, and then that's me done for this job. The only other thing I want to do while I'm here is I want to net the sprouting broccoli. We don't have a problem with pigeons, but we do have a pheasant who trots around like cock of the walk here, chomping at everything. He just feels it's his own personal larder. So I am going to cover the sprouting broccoli with netting to keep him off. Then I'm going to pick some vegetables for tonight's tea. So think that's me about done for today. It's brightening up a bit, which is nice. It is cold here, but at least there's no wind, so it's been really quite pleasant being up here. I've been up here probably for an hour or so. I need to go and get the loppers to actually cut this cauliflower down. So they're in the car, and I've got a bag of bark chippings in the car as well, so I'm going to go and get those. So that's me done for today. Thanks very much for watching. Hope it wasn't boring. Me planting vegetables, and we'll see how they get on in the spring. I noticed my green manure over here, which I'll turn you, is really coming along. That's definitely not going to survive this cold weather, but I'm not worried about that. This will have manure put on it. There's the bags of it. This will have manure on it in the spring. It's got a lot of weed in it. Everything's got a lot of weed in it. And but I expect that will be knocked off because I know we're expecting some very, very cold weather. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you another time. Bye for now. Bye.